Back once more at the legislature this session, a proposal by advocates of early childhood development to boost the payout from the state's land grant permanent fund. That's the fund that injects hundreds of millions of dollars into education each year. Now, just this week, it reached a record high of over $11 billion, but the more you take out, the less that's there for future years. Ms. Feldman, argument from supporters to actually dip into this and increase the amount by about 1.5%, it seems like, that we want to take out of it for a few years. Are you comfortable with that? Because a whole lot of folks are very uncomfortable with this. The
first level of comfort with it is that it's a constitutional amendment that would have to go to the voters. So that's something that I always put on my constituent questionnaire. And when
what is the nature of the question? I'm curious.
Would you support withdrawing a portion of the permanent fund for education? And remember, we did have an election on this before. I think it was 2004 for the three-tier teacher licensure system that required a withdrawal from the permanent fund, and it succeeded narrowly. My position, and I think the position of many, many advocates in the business community, as well as actually now the religious community, is that the rainy day is coming. And it is not coming, it's here. It's here now, and we need to invest in our children at an early age, because that's when the data shows that it makes the biggest difference.
Ms. Cedillo Lopez, I swing to you on that very note. There are those that say you invest now, you will pay later. It will be beyond anything we could ever spend. That seems like a simple premise.
That's exactly right. That's the way I look at it. We could have the money generating interest in the fund, or we could have invested in our people. And given where we are in this state, let's invest it in the people.
Yeah. What do you think, Rod, the politics on this?
I would say this, that New Mexico, when you take a look at how much money New Mexico spends per student across the country, even though our results are 49th, 48th, we spend 18th. We're the 18th highest in the amount of per pupil spending. I don't have a problem with early childhood education. I think it's a good idea, but I don't see why we can't shift some of that money over. And if you want to dip into the permanent fund, here's, there's money is a finite thing. If we're going to dip into the permanent fund, keep this in mind. 2 balloon payments of $230 million are coming because of the rail runner in 10 years. Where are we going to dip that money from? I would assume the permanent fund.
That's interesting. That's interesting. We'll cross that trestle, as they say, when we get there. But let me stay with you on this for a quick second, because the science seems pretty clear here on the benefits of early childhood initiatives.
And the governor's got a proposal to spend a few $1 million on early reading development. And so, like I said, I'm not averse to this idea at all. Of investing money in early childhood. So what do you make
of the hesitation? Are folks not believing of the payoff, or what do you think the hesitation is here?
Well, politically, there's a lot of people in the legislature who guard that permanent fund very carefully, because they know that if it dips, that the
lockbox.
Yes, eventually that we're going to have to spend that money, and if it dips below 5%, you can't distribute more than 5%.
There's some things that kick in and all that kind of thing. I think I know where you're at here, but let me just ask you a quick question.
Where do you think I am?
I think you're as you've said at this table many times, we have spent enough on this initiative and we're not getting results. And I ask you again, I've asked you this before, is it the fact that we need to spend more, in fact, to solve the problem?
That's always your counter argument.
It is.
We could spend our way out of any problem, and I don't think we can. My problem with this is, early childhood development, the jury is out on a lot of it. There's some things that we know work, okay, but there's lots of things. Head Start is an abysmal failure. It has never succeeded ever, and it continues to be that's by every account out there, that it is not, there's no, the General Accounting Office says that it's a failure. So, and that's a nonpartisan, non-governmental entity in D.C.
So you're not proposing we stop things like
no,
Head Start,
here's what I'm saying, Gene, and we seem to have this conversation around this table all the time, that, well, we're going to cut everything 10%. Why are we going to fund the bad stuff at 90% and cut the good things by 10%? Why don't we look, instead of just saying, which is what we do in Santa Fe all the time, the problem is early childhood development, throw more money at it. We're not sure what we'll do with the money, just dump a bunch of money out there. How about coming forward?
Wait, it's more nuanced than that.
No, it's not. There's not specific spending proposals other than we're going to raid the permanent fund and use it for early childhood development. How about coming forward with a proven program that says this is going to work? We've done this in New Mexico. We've talked about this in New Mexico. People don't like to talk about
Would that
things.
move the needle for you?
I think it would move the needle
program?
tremendously. In public education, K through 12.
Because they're out there. There's plenty of examples that are out there.
There are.
And things, homegrown things that work
K through 12,
tremendously
Gene.
well.
Gene, K through 12.
And they cannot get another dime out of this legislature because nobody wants to believe that these things are
I don't think that's true, Gene. I think it's because people don't come to them with that program. You come to them with this grandiose, we're going to take 0.5% of the permanent fund and use it for early childhood education. Instead of coming before them, like we had this debate when I was in the legislature on public education. I think there's examples of programs that have worked there. School vouchers, whether you like them or not, they work. They work. But you know what? You don't want to talk about that. You want to say, we talk about at this table on K through 12, the distance between funding and the classroom.
I hear you. I hear you. But on early childhood stuff, we got to stick on that for a quick second. I hear you on those other points. But Senator Feldman, on early childhood, it's a myriad of issues that develop a child.
Absolutely.
A lot of them social things that people don't want to deal with. Having
It's
comfort
not
and
just
stability.
reading and tests.
Exactly.
It's all kinds of Montessori programs, early childhood programs, and the data is really clear. I disagree with Dan that money invested in early childhood, the return on investment is just tremendous. And there are blueprints out there. We've heard about them when we've talked about pre-K, which is a public-private partnership. There are pre-K programs in private daycares as well as in public schools. But we as a state have just not invested in them. We have not put the money there. We are too busy dealing crisis to crisis.
It's not just tests. It's exactly what you said, the social issues. Safety for the children, identifying what the issues are in the home. I just think it's crucial.
Do you think, as parents, have we asked our legislature vigorously enough for this? It seems to me part of the problem here is there's a bit of a void here between the public and the policymakers. For a lot of folks, we don't know what to ask for. We know it's important, but it's like, well, we don't know the amounts. We don't know the programs. Is something that's been missing here in your view from the citizen side of this argument as well?
Well, I think you're right. They don't know how to, the average citizen doesn't know exactly what to ask for. But I think, as you said, that amendment passed, I think they know that we need something. And
what would be your thought on the passability of it passing as a constitutional
I think it would probably pass narrowly, just like the last one. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, we're under a minute now. What do you think about that, Rob? The chances of it and why?
Well, it's hard to make the counter argument that I made a few minutes ago, because you end up looking like the Grinch. But money is a finite thing. We're the 18th highest spending state when it comes to per pupil spending. We have to make sure that our money is being spent wisely.
It won't pass.
But that correlates to the problems we have in the state.
It barely passed with Governor Richardson and Senator Pete Domenici stumping like crazy to do it the last time. You're not going to have those guys doing that this time.
What was the hang-up last time? Why didn't it pass last time?
I don't think people in New Mexico...
I'm sorry, my fault. It barely passed.
And I think the hang-up was with two powerhouses. Bill Richardson was at 70% approval rating. Pete Domenici campaigning for it, barely passed. You don't have people doing that. I think there's zero chance, because I think the people in New Mexico understand what Rob has said. We have a small amount of money. If we start taking more of that out, I think people want to see a return on the investment that's being made now. I think they want to see accountability for the dollars they see now, and they're not getting that.
Would it pass, Senator? What do you think?
I think it would be a toss-up. I'd give it a toss-up as to whether it would pass or not. But the way New Mexico is now, the lack of progress that we're making in education and economic development, we've got to have something to move us off the dime here. And there is a huge amount of support for this. I don't know whether it'll get through the legislature, to tell you the truth, but I think there's a great amount of public support based on the idea that the rainy day is now.
Gene, one of the things I just want to say that we got to be careful about is, we remember, and this happened the last time, when we changed the amount of money from the permanent fund, so more money went from the permanent fund, the legislature backed down the discretionary monies that went in. It was a zero-sum game.
Right.
It's a zero-sum game.
That's a legit point. Politics is funny that way. You don't just give and not give something else. We're on the clock now, guys. With 1 minute as this group to handle the following topics. We'll start with Representative Miguel Garcia's revised version of House Bill 77, aimed at closing the gun show loophole on background checks. The first version stalled in committee last week, but it has been brought back with some compromises, such as not requiring background checks when guns are exchanged between family members. Daniel, You think this new version has a better chance, or it's just, yeah, there you go.
Nah, I don't think any chance of gun control by any means in the state of New Mexico is going to pass, and it shouldn't. The problem isn't the guns, it's the people with the guns, and there needs to be laws enforced that are in place today.
Senator Feldman, would you agree with that?
No.
Okay.
This is a common sense measure. The polling data, even within the past week, has changed. Republican pollster Frank Luntz now has 82% of gun owners approving a background check for gun shows and private gun sales.
Going to swing these other guys in. The clock's ticking there. I appreciate that. Rob, what do you think on this one?
I think politically it might be difficult. It will be difficult for this to get through. I talked to Representative Garcia today as we tape on Thursday, and he said that he thinks it'll probably come back before the committee on Monday. But now we're getting to like the halfway mark of the session. He might run out of time.
It's an interesting point. I'm going to hold you there, Antoinette. I'm glad you brought our latest up-to-date point there. Legislative efforts to expand Sunday liquor sales by 2 hours, starting at 10 a.m. rather than noon. These things have failed in the past, but loosening the restrictions may boost revenues at bars and restaurants. Ms. Feldman, not all lawmakers are convinced this is a good idea. Should we be able to drink earlier than noon, or is it just so archaic that nobody cares anymore?
24/7.
24/7.
Does it matter that it's a Sunday, a
Well,
Saturday?
you know,
any of those things?
this is a perennial issue. It keeps coming up every year.
gift that keeps on giving.
And you know, I remember the days when Nadine Milford would be sitting in the back of the room,
Knitting.
and they would, and then public comment would come, and she would say, "Do you want more DWI or do you not want more DWI?" Bars are the source of a lot of DWI.
Sure. Can I hold you there? Can I get Dan in here? I mean, if you want to drink at 10, you can do it at home and then go to the bar at 12, right? I mean, what's the difference, right?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we say it's going to boost sales. I mean, I'm not sure who's hanging out at the... Look, if you're drinking at the bar at 10 o'clock or at noon on Sunday, you probably got a problem.
It's interesting.
No, champagne brunch. Champagne brunch.
It's not a bar, that's a restaurant.
I'll
There's
just
a
jump in and
difference.
say this. This bill might pass, and I'm agnostic about it, but this bill might pass, but so far, all the bills that have been tried to toughen repeat drunk driver laws have been failing.
Interesting point. I appreciate that. New Mexico is facing the worst drought in 60 years. Senate Bill 440 calls for $125 million, to get water down to the hardest hit lower part of our state. Antoinette, do you think lawmakers will step in with tax? That's a lot of dough. It's a lot of dough. And should we be asking for something for that money, saying, well, perhaps better land management, better water management, better cattle grazing management for the water?
I think you're
Is that
right
reasonable?
on with coordinating. It made me think, when I was reading this, I was thinking about what happened to the Mayans during the drought period.
They were doing their calendar?
Well, no, not the calendar, but the Mayan civilization. There was just a really great UNM collaborative study, and we're going to have to adapt. We're going through a drought, and as a society, we're going to have to adapt.
Right. Water management. Should this be part of it as well?
Well, I wrote a story about this. Joe Cervantes has got a $120 million proposal to help the southern part of the state. I thought maybe politically it might pit north against south, but I talked to Senator Phil Griego, who's up north and is very involved in water issues, and he says he supports it. It's a sleeper issue, and it will be for a long,
We
long
spent
time.
4 times that amount of money trying to fix the problem on the Pecos when I was in the legislature.
Okay.
And we're now going before the U.S. Supreme Court on this issue.
With
Water,
Texas, yeah.
water is an unbelievably important deal. We can talk about everything else at this table, education, DWIs. If we continue to dry up, nobody's coming here.
Sure. Good point.
We have been through this rodeo before, and it was on the Pecos, and the money was used to retire some water rights. It pitted the towns of Carlsbad versus Roswell. It was a very contentious thing.
Interesting. I'll let you go over time there because I wanted you to get that point in. That was interesting, that historical point. Now, if lawmakers don't pass legislation to fix the problems with the state's pension plans during their 60-day session, Governor Martinez will call a special session. At least that's what one senator told you, Rob. Makes sense to me. I mean, I don't think they're going to get it done in this 60. Maybe we do need a clear period of time to do just that on its own. It's so big.
We'll see what happens, but it's clearly something has to be done. And I mean, it's a multi-layered story, like so many other political stories in New Mexico.
Sure.
You've got some people, especially in the para and ERB unions, who think that these things are too onerous, the changes, the adjustments they're making. Then you've got other people like Brad Day, a trustee at the ERB, saying these things don't go far enough.
Right.
And then you got George Munoz, who's got a bill saying, well, maybe they don't go far enough, but we have to make an interim step because the longer we wait to kick the can down the road, which is like the phrase of the year in national and local politics, the more difficult it's going to be.
And here we go.
There may be a difference between the ERB and PERA, because the ERB had 17 stakeholder groups come together, and it's gotten through each of the committees with no amendments, and so that seems to be percolating. So it may be that we get the ERB.
Sure, you're going to split 10 seconds.
Hundreds of millions of dollars, and we just talked about early childhood, raiding the permanent fund. These two fixes are, you know, last time I heard it was close to $750 million. I mean, I don't know how you fix it.
Special session, is that the best way to go here?
Yes.
Yes, if we don't address it now. But, you know, in discussing it, the perfect is the enemy of the good. Let's just fix it.
Do something.
With the consensus that we have already built and go forward on that.
There you go. Mayor Berry has an ambitious vision for Albuquerque, and he wants its citizens to weigh in on it. ABQ, the plan focuses on improvements along the Rio Grande Bosque, a 50-mile cycling loop in the city, and revitalization of the old Route 66. A lot of stuff here, Rob. Wow. Let me start with you, Didi, on this one. It's ambitious. But this is an era in this world to be ambitious. All right, a 50-mile bike loop. What's the big deal? We can do it. Yes, we can do it.
It's $36 million.
We can spend more money.
Somebody needs to start saying this in positive
money.
terms. If politicians don't want to do it, we can do it here.
I'm a supporter. I think this is a good idea. It's $36 million. The funding source has not yet been identified. At this point, it's just a blueprint.
Sure.
But I think the blueprint is good.
Is he taking the right approach, asking the public to weigh in?
Yes, and I think, you know, we have a sensitive issue here with the Bosque.
Sure.
And I think that as long as it's supporting passive recreation, we're getting people down there, but in a way not to damage it.
Right.
I am so sorry. I'm going to jump in there, Dan.
It would be good.
I was going to say, Gene, I love you, my brother from another mother. There's not a problem you don't think we can spend our way out of. You know, it's just a.
Be nice to try.
No, and there's good things to do. You know, I will say this. I heard today some folks talking about this, and what's funny is the people who use the bike trails, they don't. The real bike riders, they don't use the bike trails. They go right on the road anyway.
There you go. I wonder overtime, but I can get you in here just real
I live
quick.
in Santa Fe, so I'll give it over to Antoinette.
Nice
Well,
job.
if we don't spend, I mean, it's a capitalist society. This is how we get things done, is by spending.
Private sector spending.
There you go. Thank you all for being here. A wonderful Friday night discussion. I can't be more thankful to you all. Thanks for spending an hour with us this week. We're back at it again on Friday. In the meantime, find us on the web for expanded legislative coverage. I'm Gene Grant. We'll see you next week in Focus.